Okay. All right, guys. As everyone's joining us, I did want to welcome everyone. We've got an incredible live webinar today. So, celebrity fashion photographer Kevin Michael Schmitz here, and I am a photographer that's had the opportunity to shoot campaigns for Burberry, Giorgio Armani, and photograph six-figure ad campaigns all over the world. And in my career, I've been able to shoot at the most incredible locations as well as attend fashion weeks. So whether it's New York Fashion Week, which just occurred in September, whether we're talking about going to Milan or Paris Fashion Week, which I've also attended, as well as Los Angeles Fashion Week, that is just finishing up right now. This autumn is the season for fashion. Generally from September through October, all the biggest fashion weeks around the world are happening. So today we're going to be talking about how you can maximize Fashion Week and what this means for you in your career. Now, whether you're a full-time fashion photographer or whether you want to get into fashion photography, I'm going to give you guys some tips and strategies of what you can do to be able to maximize that and to be able to really take away from Fashion Week a lot of success, a lot of opportunities, and how to make money. Most importantly, Fashion Week is really all about connections. And, I've learned this early on because, I was really excited to go to Milan Fashion Week the very first time when I was in my early 20s. And what I did was I was able to kind of utilize my ability to showcase my photography. And if you've got a strong portfolio or if you publish any work, you can always reach out, especially if you've shot any magazines, you could always reach out to Fashion Weeks, the directors of Fashion Week, and ask to get a press pass. This is oftentimes the best way in as a photographer. Now, of course, you can come in as a guest. Oftentimes you can get on invite-only lists. You can pay to get in. That's great. But I got in as a photographer to Milan Fashion Week by just simply applying, contacting the directors and asking, mention who I was. And at the time I was in my early 20s. As a fashion photographer, I had shot for a couple of, magazines that they probably hadn't even heard of. But I applied for a press pass and they gave it to me. Now, it really helps having a magazine behind you. So what I'd recommend is if you can build a relationship with either a photo editor from a magazine or a fashion editor from a magazine, that can really help because they can kind of vouch for you. And essentially what you're looking for is just a letter, kind of a letter of recommendation from a magazine. Even if you don't even have a prior relationship with them, you can always build that relationship. And then essentially have that letter of recommendation sent on your behalf to the to the directors of Fashion Week, and then essentially get that press pass. Now, the great thing about getting a press pass is that means you can go beyond just sitting at Fashion Week and watching the runway show. You can actually get in. You can actually get into the shows. And that's where I recommend is, you want to go not only, into the shows to photograph it, because, believe it or not, shooting fashion, the Fashion Week fashion shows, it's not really the most lucrative kind of a thing. And it's not something that, to be honest, it's not something that, I recommend even spending a lot of time doing because you're really not going to make money off of shooting Fashion Week. It's not really about that. It's more about the connections. It's more about the relationships. And, for me, I've got a brand that I had developed, and I have a strong brand that I could showcase as well as, contact with the magazines that I've been able to get that letter of recommendation from the magazines. And then, of course, showcasing my work so that they're interested and they know who I am. And then, of course, if you can write like a nice, clean bio of who you are as well, and showcase that to them so that they know, who it is that they're bringing in, because they want to make sure you're legit. Having a nice bio, I do recommend. You can also, write something up with a nice bio, including, a photograph of yourself. That can really help. And just essentially having a really nice kind of write-up about who you are and what you represent, essentially. And I think that that's really important as well. So I love having a bio when you're presenting to, to obtain this, whether you're contacting directly with a magazine, or you're going, and getting them to write that letter of recommendation, or you're going directly to the Fashion Week director, but having something like this where you're showcasing who you are. And I'm a celebrity fashion photographer, TV director, executive producer, and I just put all the accolades, the, awards, the big productions, the television show, all that stuff. They're going to want to see that. And they're like, okay, great. Here's a press pass. Right. Now, the way to actually make money and essentially monetize this is to essentially, you want to get behind the scenes, behind the curtains, because that's where the designers are. They're behind the scenes. They're the ones that are, essentially getting the models dressed, or having assistants dress the models, but they're making sure that the look that they're going to be putting on during Fashion Week behind the scenes is happening. So what I like to do is I like to, instead of wasting my time in the pit just photographing a fashion show, I like to go behind the scenes with my press pass and go and meet the designers. Go and meet them, because that will make all the difference. And if you're a fashion photographer and you want to do this as a career, it's going to be all about your relationships. It's going to be all about those people that you meet, about all those designers that you build relationships with, because they're the ones that will be hiring you, right? And they also have a lot of pull and gravitas of the magazines. So very, very, very important to do that. Now, when you're behind the scenes and when you're, mingling with these designers, be social. Be friendly, be likable. And most importantly, try not to act like you're there just to shoot the runway, because, they're going to look down upon that. They're not going to hire the runway photographer to be able to photograph their, their fashion campaign for Gucci. It doesn't work that way. Use it as an opportunity more so to just build a relationship. And then, of course, most importantly, when you're talking to them, showcase your work, showcase what you can do. Make sure that they know that your body of work is world class, that you have high-end content, that you've done big productions, you shot with major brands, you've shot with Vogue supermodels, you've been able to work with big designers. And even if you haven't, well, at least get some FaceTime, build relationship personally, and then, of course, build that book in the meantime before you send it to them. But of course, the most important thing, guys, is having your brand ready. And I think that this is where a lot of photographers struggle. They don't really have their brand prepared. They want to go to Fashion Week, they want to meet people, they want to market themselves. And it's like, what, that's great and all, but you can network to your blue in the face. You can market yourself all day long, but if you don't have a world-class brand to market, it's not going to do much. It's going to fall flat, because the thing is these, these designers, they're dealing with the best photographers in the world from the top agencies. They're working with the best and the best. And if you are competing against the best and the best, you got to be careful, because, they all have supermodels in their book. They all have big publication. They all have big fashion campaigns under their belt, right? And if you, don't have that yet, well, we need to build it. We need to get those campaigns in your book. We need to make sure that all of that magic happens. And if you're not a known person in the industry yet, well, let's make that happen. Let's build that body of work so you can essentially become the next undiscovered photographer that can shoot for that campaign, shoot for that brand, shoot for that magazine. Very, very important. Now, I always like to say, the fundamental, most absolute important foundations of photography are essentially 3 foundations, meaning number 1, you have to develop a world-class brand. And if you're going to be going to Fashion Week, you've got to showcase that brand. Now, the content I'm showing you right now was actually shot at a New York workshop with us, with the supermodel Isabella Oberg. We're shooting with unbelievable fashion apparel, with styling from Louis Vuitton and Versace, Vogue fashion styles, and being able to create content that's totally over the top. And for instance, if you go to Fashion Week and you're showcasing this kind of content, the chances of you building a stronger bond with that designer and having more opportunities that are going to actually come from this experience at Fashion Week, it's going to be exponentially higher. And that's what we want. We want to make sure that we're going to have every opportunity under the sun. And the best way to do that is not just networking, but having something great to show. And I like, whether you're showing your iPhone or whether you're showing an iPad, but being able to show something. And then if you get their contact information, which is what you need, you want to ideally try to get their direct cell number and then text them a link to your work. That's it. Just text them a link to your work, making sure that they're just like wowed and dazzled and will remember you. And that way, when you contact them in the future, they know who you are, and they're like, oh yeah, all right, I remember working with this guy who's amazing. He shot this unbelievable production, this incredible gold dress, the supermodel. Now you actually stand out, and you're kind of seen up here rather than down here. So I definitely want you to have that perceived value. I also recommend that you dress the part. When I go to Fashion Week, I usually dress black on black, black shirt like this, and then maybe I add a black jacket, like a suit jacket. I dress to the nine in all designer wear or custom made suits, and I, look the part, because it's fashion. You've got to look the part, and you've got to be, essentially blending in with those elite people. Now, we just had a great question on the Q&A, and it was actually a couple of them. The first comment was, makes sense because of San Diego Swim Week last July. I was actually able to network with the organizers. So yes, and swim weeks generally happen in the summertime. So like Miami Swim Week also happens in the summertime. San Diego Swim Week happens in the summertime. For the autumn, that's for all the fashion weeks, for fashion designers. So that's what you want to be at. But also this another a question here: how do you even land a campaign like that in the first place? Great question. The best way to land an opportunity in a campaign, a fashion campaign, is, first of all, those three pillars and foundations of success in photography, which is develop that photographic brand. Okay. And whether you're going to Fashion Week and you've got this mind-blowing content, the content like I'm showing you right now, just incredible content, beautiful work, unbelievable styling, styled by Vogue stylists, working with top, models from Vogue, shooting with, the best of the best production. We're shooting at a $40 million mansion. This kind of stuff will separate you and give you a brand that stands out. It gives you a brand that's powerful, that's world-class. And that's what we want. We want to have somebody, we want to wow and dazzle all of those incredible people that are out there, that are at Fashion Week, for instance. And if you can't make Fashion Week, no worries. No worries. I mean, the big fashion weeks are happening in New York, Paris, Milan, and then they have them also in London and Los Angeles and other cities. But the New York, Paris, Milan are the three most important and valuable ones. The other ones are a bit, not as relevant, but those are the pivotal ones. Now, we actually, I've been directing the photography workshop series for the last 15 years, and I've also been able to curate these epic photographic workshops specifically around Fashion Week. Because I also know, and when I plan shoots, I also realize, like, hey, if I'm going to be developing this brand and this world-class content, I want the best models, okay? And I also need to know that, first of all, it's not only about planning based around what the best weather is during a location, like in New York, for instance. A good time to shoot in New York is usually September, October. Or you can do the summertime, but sometimes it can get a little bit too hot and a little too intense. But I really love like September, New York, but also around Fashion Week. So what I generally do is we plan the photography workshop series, high-end fashion photographic workshop, which is what you guys are looking at right now, from literally right after Fashion Week. And the reason we do that is because we now have the best of the best models in town that are usually from Europe. We get the best girls from Milan and Paris and London. We get all the best girls in the United States. They're all there in New York. And then, of course, following Fashion Week, like literally right when Fashion Week ends, the photography workshop series begins, and we shoot this massive scale fashion production. But now we have the best models in the world at our fingertips. So that's really important. And it's something that I think it's when you guys are planning your shoots, be aware of like where the migration of the models are. That's really important. And know where they are at what time of year. And that way you can get the best. You can get the best of the best models during the right seasons. And I think that that's really important. And if you're not planning it around fashion weeks, sometimes you're going to run into issues where, hey, we're doing the shoot in, in New York right now, but really all the models are in Paris. or we're doing the shoot in, in Miami, but all the models are in LA right now, so be aware of like the migration and the certain seasons that happen for fashion weeks and other major events, because they generally, models kind of flow in a migration depending on the season. And that's why you can't really book models far in advance, which is another thing I wanted to mention. I always, when I direct these workshops, a lot of photographers like, oh my gosh, like I want to know all the details right now. But the thing is we don't know. And I can't even book models like more than a month out usually, because the modeling agents don't know who's going to be in town. And that's really common. Like for instance, we just got back from France. Okay, so we just did the France epic fashion workshop at my 49-room 13th century palace in France, which was incredible. And it was over the top, and we had all these incredible supermodels there that were from Milan and from Paris and from Stockholm. This is actually an image from that. Believe it or not, I actually shot this picture from my iPhone. And this is in the parlor room of the French castle. But what was interesting is when I went to book models for the French castle, and I started booking them like, I'm like, hey, it's in France. Let me prepare. They go on a holiday in August. Nobody's in town. Let me start booking them in like June for the September shoot. Every single modeling agency, and I contacted about 18 modeling agencies between Paris, Milan, London, Berlin, Stockholm, all over Europe, Prague. Every single one of them just said, hey, I have no idea what their schedule is going to be like in September. So contact me like 4 days before the shoot. And I know that sounds crazy. And for many of you guys who are planners, that sounds really crazy, but it's unfortunately the way it is. So that, and I've been dealing with this my whole career, so I'm very aware of it. So a lot of the modeling bookings happen like right up until the shoot. And the same thing with runway shows. It's the same thing. We don't know which girls are going to be in town until like right before it happens. And it's very, very important to be that, to realize that, you've got to be flexible, and you got to be aware of the migrations of the model, so that you can also, be in the right flow and know, when the best models are going to be in town. That's really, really important. And a lot of times, photographers are not aware of this. And then, you're creating challenges for yourself, but you don't want to. You want to make sure that everything is going to be clean. Everything is going to work really well. Everything is going to be easy is what you want. You want everything to work out really, really well for your photo shoot. So anyway, so I definitely recommend you guys be very flexible when it comes to that, but also be aware of the seasons, because that is absolutely critical as a photographer. Okay, now I also wanted to okay, I'll ask another question here, or I'll answer a question from another attendee. And by the way, those of you guys who are listed as an anonymous attendee, I'd love for you guys to actually state who you guys are, because I'd like to talk with you personally, know who that photographer is who's asking. So please, if you are posting something as an anonymous person, post your name. I'd like to know. Is that also what the connections are for? To keep track of when the biggest supermodels arrive at so-and-so event. Absolutely. I mean, of course, we want to know all the, the designers are going to be dictating a lot of it. And that also really helps. Of course, if you have relationships with them, you can kind of know who's in town, and also get connections so that you can essentially book the best of the best models. Absolutely. Very, very important. Definitely want to do that. And then, okay, so we're starting out with that brand. And if you showcase a brand and content like this, for instance, that we just shot at the French Castle, if you show that to designers at Fashion Week shooting at unbelievable 49-room 13th century palaces like my castle, for instance, it makes a big difference when getting connections with those designers, and also presenting to magazines. It also makes a huge, huge, huge difference, because of course we want to show that we're in the know, we're in that world with them, right? It's very, very important. So guys, I want to also bring up the fact that it's absolutely vital to also have a strong marketing game. Not just about branding, but marketing yourself. And this goes for Fashion Week as well. So leading up to a Fashion Week, you want to market yourself. You want to market yourself to all these agencies. You also want to contact the brands and tell them that you're coming. So maybe you can meet up with them. Maybe you can, maybe even between a show, you could take them to coffee, show your book, build a relationship, go to the best parties, because of course that's also where a lot of the magic happens, is the fashion week parties where all of the who's who in the industry are hobnobbing and having relationships. Very, very important to do that. So, all right. And I'm also guys, I'm gonna be asking a whole series of questions as well, kind of survey questions, because I also am very interested to know about you, about each and every one of you guys. And I think that the more you guys, are integrated, the more questions you ask, and answer in the polls and the survey questions, the better off everything's going to be, because I think that it really benefits everybody on these live webinars to know kind of where everyone stands. So anyway, so I'm going to be asking a whole series of these questions, and I'd love for you guys to respond. I'm also going to be having some incredible panelists on, and I'm really excited about that. I actually have some photographers that I just worked with in New York at the New York Fashion Photography production that we just did, and we literally just got back like a few weeks ago from this, and this is actually just a few little behind the scenes of the production. In New York. This was shot, there's actually me, but we're shooting at this unbelievable equestrian center with these top models and creating just some incredible content on location. We shot with owls, we shot with horses, we shot with all these top fashion models. We had unbelievable fashion sequences. And the photographers got to create the most incredible, mind-blowing images of their lifetime. And I'm so excited about what they created. And of course, we're also going to be showing that and talking to these photographers directly, so they can talk about their experiences of what they did right after following New York Fashion Week, the images that you're able to shoot with these top models. And being able to create content that is developing their brand to a much higher level, so that they can create content that is, noticeable by the fashion designers and the fashion brands, because that's what we want, essentially. Now, I did mention, marketing, of course, but the third and most important and vital aspect and foundation is essentially booking the shoot or closing the deal. Now, what I mean by that is, even if whether you're booking the shoot, or even if you're not there yet, but you've shown their brand, maybe you've marketed yourself so they know who you are, and say you're at Fashion Week, for instance, in person, I would definitely tie them down to showcasing your work to them, meeting with them at their office, talk about the next opportunity that they have, whether they're shooting a lookbook for their brand, whether they're shooting a catalog shoot, whether they're doing e-com, whether they're shooting a fashion campaign, whether they want video production, whatever they're doing, and talk to them about, hey, I want to throw my hat into the ring and I want to be considered to be one of your fashion photographers, and feel free to do that. I mean, even on a first meeting, I think it's important so that they know your intentions, that you want to work with them, and that, and they're going to immediately qualify you. So this is why having the book, having the world-class content means everything, because if you don't, they're going to immediately disqualify you. So you got to make sure that the content is there. I mean, you got to make sure that they feel like, oh my gosh, all right, this photographer is legit. They're a world-class photographer. They know what the heck they're doing. I'm open to working with this person. I'm open to hearing them out. Because immediately, people are going to be discounting you if they think you're a paparazzi photographer or an event photographer. They're going to be discounting you if they think you're a portrait photographer or wedding photographer. At Fashion Week, they're going to want to know that you're a world-class fashion photographer, and that's all that you do. And it's okay to shoot other things. Totally fine. Totally fine to have a lot of different brands like I do. But they need to know that I only do one thing, and I shoot fashion, and that's it. So if I'm, contacting Burberry, for instance, I did 2 campaigns for them last year. If I'm, showcasing content to book another Burberry campaign, I'm not going to showcase my slice of life lifestyle photography that I shoot for Pepsi. If I'm contacting, a brand that does specifically beverage photography, and I, shoot a campaign for Smirnoff, and I'm contacting them, I'm not going to show my super high fashion stuff because it's not relevant. And especially if you were a portrait photographer or wedding photographer and you want to shoot for fashion brands or lifestyle brands, you would never show that consumer stuff because immediately they would discount you. So just start thinking about your brand and how it's perceived and who you are in their eyes. And it's okay to have, multiple things that you do, but make sure that everything is segmented and have different brands that are showcased. Right. And I think that's really important. And I can show you guys even some examples. I have this great photographer that I was just thinking about named David Yee, who he's attended, I don't know, 7 or 8 workshops with us. And he is a graphic designer. He's a graphic designer, and he has a website where he has like a whole graphic design page. And he also does like portraiture and lifestyle. But then, David has a whole separate brand that's fashion photography. So this kind of content, which was shot actually at our fashion workshop with us, actually, this is our Las Vegas one with me, with a supermodel from Vogue. This is a totally different brand. And this is the kind of content that David would show to a fashion designer, fashion brand. And since it's kind of over the top, it's a little bit more haute couture and over the top and ridiculous, I'll get some attention, and, fashion designers, which are very creative people and generally, kind of flamboyant and out there, they're going to love stuff like this, which I think is fantastic. I love it. I love it. Okay. Okay. So, and Brian Page asked on the questions here, what are the 3 foundations of photography? So once again, the 3 foundations to be successful in photography is, the first one is developing your epic photographic brand and portfolio. And this is important, especially if you're going to Fashion Week, or if you want to shoot campaigns, or you want to do anything big, you have to have a 40 image cohesive body of work. Have to. It's non-negotiable to have a 40 image cohesive body of work. And if you don't, nobody's going to take you seriously. Nobody's going to want to even, consider you, because they're going to want to work with somebody who does have a 40 image cohesive body of work. And specifically, they want to see somebody with at least 30 images that are absolutely iconic. And when I say iconic images, I'm talking about images that are award-winning, images like this, images that are totally over the top. They're going to take photographers to the highest level. And I would say out of that 40 image cohesive body of work, if you can have 30 iconic images, it will really stand out, and it'll give you an opportunity to start booking some big campaigns. So the first foundation, Brian, is going to be specifically developing that brand at the highest level. And if it's not there, that's okay, but you can get involved with us, and by the way, this is just, some of the winning photographic awards over the last couple of years. We've won over 200 photographic awards, and many of you guys who are award winners are actually on this webinar right now. I could actually recognize a bunch of you, like David Gesprecht. I know you've been winning some incredible awards, like in the Color Awards. We have Mike Weilet, who has won in the top 10 fashion photographers year after year. We have some incredible photographers on here that have won over and over again, even. And in the top 10 fashion photographers in America, we've won 7 out of 10 of the top 10 fashion photographers in America in the One Island Awards, which is really awesome and incredible to see. And I'm super proud of my photographers for winning all these awards over and over and over again and absolutely crushing it, because I think that's huge. It's something that really makes a difference and stands out, winning awards. But this all goes towards your photographic brand, Brian. That's what you're asking, Brian Page, asking about developing that photographic brand. Well, this is it. Creating content like this. This is all shot by different photographers that attended the workshops, and they won in the top 10 fashion photographers in America awards because of shots. All of these shots that were the award-winning shots were done at the workshops, which makes a huge difference when perceived, whether they're at Fashion Week or whether they're just marketing themselves out there. It makes a huge difference to take it to the next level. It really does. And by the way, I'm going to launch a survey question out here. And I'm interested in how likely, if you guys are interested in this, and whether you want to develop a brand, which is the first foundation, whether you want to create this epic portfolio with supermodels from Vogue and Vanity Fair and Harper's Bazaar, and if you wanted to come on set with me for 5 days and shoot with Vogue fashion models and develop a 40 image cohesive body of work that would, essentially take you at least 10 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And even though you do that, you still might not shoot at this level because you don't have the connections and relationships yet. Or you can get involved with us for one of these epic photographic workshops and create the greatest images you've ever shot in your lifetime that are going to completely catapult you to the next level. So it's something that I think obviously is going to benefit all the photographers that are on here. And I have a whole bunch of you guys that have attended a bunch of workshops. Prince Williams, Belinda Roy, Scott Goodwin. You know, it's so good to see you guys. I mean, you guys have all attended a bunch of workshops. We have Linda Jett, wonderful Linda Jett. I can't wait to work with you again. I'm super excited. You know, we've got Jeffrey on here has attended multiple workshops. We have, you know, David Gaspreck, who just won those awards. Clayton Hall, Carl Wu, worked with you guys multiple times. Carl, love to see you. Adriana Escalante, just, you know, worked with you at these epic lifestyle photography productions and stuff. So I'm really excited to see so many photographers that have attended these experiences. And those of you guys who haven't yet, I strongly, strongly encourage it, because it will literally transform everything with your photographic brand. And getting back to Brian's question, you know, that's the first foundation is that brand and that portfolio, because if you don't have that, you have nothing to market. The second thing, of course, is the second foundation is that marketing aspect, and it's taking it to the next level. And the third aspect in the foundation is going to be actually booking the job and closing the deal. Now, it just so happens that, you know, this is all really important in fashion photography, but also in lifestyle commercial advertising, also in shooting for portraiture, personal branding, wedding photography. If you're dealing with fine art photography, you're dealing with architectural photography, real estate photography, all of it, it's all related. And you know what? That's something that a lot of photographers miss the mark on their brand, or oftentimes a lot of photographers, maybe your work, you know, you didn't shoot Vogue fashion supermodels this year. Maybe you shot, you know, some great fashion shots, but they were 10 years ago or 5 years ago. That's great and all, but it's not relevant now. And I tell you what, if you go to New York Fashion Week and you're showcasing content, you know, that you shot 8 years ago or something, and you're showing it to a fashion designer, you're showing it to, you know, a designer at Gucci or Versace or at Louis Vuitton, and they'll know, you know, I mean, they'll know if it's dated, and you're going to be dismissed. They're not even going to, like, oh no, your book is so dated, I don't even want to look at it because that was so, like, you know, 2016. You know, that's not relevant. The stuff needs to be hot and fresh right now. And this is one of the reasons that we call the photography workshop series, because I do have photographers that have worked with me for years. I have photographers that have literally been taking workshops with me for like 13 years. I think we have a gentleman named William Espar, who he's just coming to an upcoming workshop, I think in Miami. And he's been attending workshops for about 13 years now with us. But the thing is you can't use, I mean, as epic as those images were back then, they're not usable now because they're dated. You got to create fresh stuff. And the reason it's Photography Workshop series, it's a series of these epic productions that you guys can develop and create mind-blowing content and update it all the time, and create new, fresh content on a regular basis that's going to completely knock the socks off your clients. The other thing too is, you know, even if your stuff is fresh, maybe from last year or something, but you already showed it to everybody, you already marketed it and you already showed it, well, you need fresh stuff. You need new content to show. And this is something that's really important. I like to do essentially kind of a drip campaign, new, fresh content all the time, showcasing and kind of dripping that content to the client so that they get excited and they know about it. And that way they're going to be, you know, oh my gosh, you know, every time they send me an email, they have this new picture, this new photograph, this new video that they sent, maybe a behind the scenes, cool stuff that they get excited about, you know, and that's, I think, a lot of value. If you can showcase that and you can get them excited and you can actually create content that is fresh, new, and gets them, you know, excited and completely relevant, it'll make all the difference, and especially fresh stuff that is like hot right now, you know, right in the now, stuff that's going to blow their minds. And it's so good to see all of you guys on, because I want all of you on, whether you've taken workshops before, whether you haven't worked with me yet. I want to talk to you guys about next level. What are we going to do going forward? What are we going to do in 2024? You know, everything's changing so rapidly with AI, with the way that the industry is, inflation, the cost of production has skyrocketed. And if any of you guys are doing high-end productions, you'll know what I'm talking about. You know, I mean, I just got back from the most insane productions at my French Castle, New York, in France, as well as shooting in New York at these unbelievable, ridiculous locations. But I tell you what, the cost now is astronomical. I mean, the cost of locations alone is essentially triple. The cost of models has gone up significantly. The cost of stylists has gone out of control. You know, I'm talking wardrobe, hair, makeup. The cost of models, the cost of everything, you know, the cost of catering, you know, went up by like 40%. I mean, it's very significant. And I notice this because I produce shoots constantly. But I'm also noticing the cost of productions escalated really high with inflation. And of course, this is, you know, something that you guys are going to have to deal with. So if you are going to produce a shoot and shoot something at this high level, award-winning, world-class content like we've been showing, then you're going to need to price yourself accordingly and keep up with inflation and the cost of doing business, because everything is getting out of control. And you know what? That's okay. We just need to pass that pricing on to our clientele. You know, we got to make sure that the client is going to be paying it, right? And I think that you guys, you know, don't be afraid to charge a lot, because you know what you're charging now is probably way less than what it should be. You know, what you're doing now, you believe it or not, you could probably charge far more without me even talking to you and consulting you and guiding you personally. I can tell you, you're probably undercharging right now, just about everybody on here. You know, me personally, you know, I mean, traditionally, I don't pick up my camera for under $30,000 a day. It's just not worth it for me. I'm too busy. I'm filming my TV show, Great Escapes. It airs on CBS worldwide, and I'm flying to the Maldives next month to be filming as well. I'm traveling around the world, going to my French castle, my 49-room 13th century palace in France. I'm busy there nonstop. I mean, I've got so much going on that, you know, for me, I don't have a lot of time. So I'm going to charge, you know, higher fees. And even at now, I mean, that's what I've traditionally said. Even now, 30,000 is not, I mean, it's when you actually start looking at the cost of production and the time involved in everything, to me, it's like, it's actually kind of rising to more like 40,000 per day. It's just, otherwise it's not worth it. You know, and by the way, I know I've mentioned the castle a few times. This is just a video of what the castle looks like if you guys haven't seen it or haven't been there, but I know several of you guys that are on right now actually just joined me in France, which was awesome, at my French castle. But this is a little video of that, but epic locations like that. So anyway, guys, I think that it's really important to price yourself accordingly. And when you're going to Fashion Week, remember that designers, it's not just the runway show. They're shooting their ad campaigns, their fashion campaigns, which are going to have six-figure budgets for. They're shooting their lookbook shoots, which are going to be shooting quarterly. Every brand does a lookbook generally, and the lookbook goes to buyers, meaning department stores, oftentimes, you know, whether it's going to Neiman Marcus or Bloomingdale's or Nordstrom or whatever, and they're going to be essentially getting all of that, you know, their looks in those department stores, depending on the scale of the brand, right? And making sure that the buyers carry their products. So that's essentially what the lookbook's all about. So if you guys aren't shooting lookbooks, I recommend it. You know, I mean, traditionally, I started out doing a lot of lookbooks. You know, it's a little bit smaller budget than advertising, but generally it's 10,000 to 30,000 per lookbook. Usually it takes about 1 day, maybe 2 days. But if you do quarterly, so you have a, you know, 4 lookbook, you know, per year contract, and say you know, do that with like maybe 4 brands, that's some nice money to start you off. And that's how a lot of fashion photographers get by. Another thing to do is talk to those designers at Fashion Week about shooting their e-com, because of course that's where a lot of the sales are happening, all on e-com. They're going to generally be lower budget, but high production, you know, and especially if you're near an area or near a designer where you can just do high production e-com, that's a great money-making thing. That's where a lot of photographers can also make some serious money, especially if you do it in mass quantity. And then of course, the end all be all is going to be shooting their fashion campaign, you know, their A-list fashion campaign. Now, generally they're going to go with the big famous photographers, you know, Merton Marcus, you know, some of the biggest photographers to the biggest agencies. You know, these are photographers that are shooting for Versace and Gucci and stuff like that. You know, but they're also, oftentimes those photographers might price themselves out of the picture and they're looking for somebody new and fresh. And hey, you know, get in on that so that you can be a part of it. So that way, you know, if you are connecting with that decision maker, hey, if they know you, they met you at Fashion Week, they're going to be more likely to work with you. and more likely to maybe hire you if that other fashion photographer they're usually going to work with, or that they have their eye on, maybe they've priced themselves out of the parameter. Myself, I've often priced myself out of the picture for a lot of clientele, and that's okay, because I've gotten more into shooting cinema stuff, shooting video, shooting commercials for clients, because it's a lot higher production budget. And that's the kind of stuff I do, especially because I'm a TV director. So anyway, I'm sharing some of the polls with you guys right now. This was a poll on how likely are you to enroll in an in-person 5-day photographic experience with supermodels, just like we're talking about in New York, or the Elite Masterclass in Los Angeles, or to come to the 6-day experience in at my French castle, where we have Michelin star chefs, we have masseuses on premise. We brought in supermodels from Milan, Paris, and Stockholm, and shooting unbelievable content. And it looks like a big chunk of you guys are interested. It looks like about the majority of you guys are interested in, and that's pretty awesome. So almost half of you have said, basically 9 or 10, like, yes, I'm ready to enroll and sign up. That's fantastic. I'm really, really excited. And if you guys are, and whether you are or not, it's okay. We stick with our photographers before the workshops, during the workshops, and even after the workshops, to make sure they're achieving success. And that's why I know about half of you on right now have attended these workshops. So for you guys, you know what I'm talking about. We give you ongoing coaching, and we're constantly following up with you to give you guidance and coaching and to help you along the way. Now, if you guys are interested in one of these in a strategy session, which we love to offer, and you probably have heard this before, and some of you guys have taken the opportunity to jump on, but I highly recommend it. We have some incredible photographic panels, and in fact, I'm going to be introducing some of them to you today on this call. But if you are interested in scheduling a one-on-one professional photographic consult with one of my elite photographic consultants, then I'm going to send you the link, and I encourage you guys to book a free session. I mean, why not? It's free. No one else is offering these one-on-one free strategy sessions. Photographic consultants usually charge a few $100s an hour to do this. And I think, this is a great opportunity to take advantage of. So I'm going to be sending this right now on the chat, and I really encourage you guys to book it. Go ahead and check in the webinar chat and click on that link and go ahead and schedule one of the sessions, a mastermind session with one of our experts. I do recommend booking one in the next few days, just because we're super, super, super busy with everything we have going on, and get involved with one of the people on our team. It's totally free. No obligation, but I definitely want you guys to set that up. I strongly encourage it, and we will help you. Whether you want to develop a marketing strategy, whether you want to develop your business strategy, whether you want to get a touch and kind of go over an image review, whatever it takes, we're going to be, we can get on that free one-time session with you guys and get involved with you on that. Now, I also want to answer some more of you guys' questions, because you guys all have excellent questions, and I love all the action on this webinar, because this is fantastic and you guys are all amazing. Wesley Raffan says, do you do one-on-one mentorship? Yes, I do. I do. In fact, I have a one-on-one session coming up in about 11 days with a wonderful photographer named Cindy, who we're actually doing a one-on-one, believe it or not, it's actually a one-on-one landscape and nature photography session, where we're going and shooting in Yosemite up in the mountains, where it's just her and I, and we're going to be doing a whole one-on-one session up in Yosemite, which is incredible. And we have another one coming up where we're going to be doing it abroad, shooting in Scandinavia, which is incredible. I do these very often. I know there's a gentleman on here, David Gesprecht. I'd love to hear from you as far as your experience. I know you've done a one-on-one with me earlier this year in February. And if you want to chat and answer in the chat or in the Q&A, David Gesprecht, I'd love to hear you discuss your experience. You did a one-on-one photographic production one-on-one with me in Newport Beach, and it was absolutely incredible. We shot mind-blowing content, and he did a whole like California lifestyle vibe that I produced for him so that he could create and film and photograph, and it was absolutely out of this world. It was some of the coolest content that we shot of the year, and I was really, really proud of what we were able to create at that production with David Gesprick. So David, if you're on, I know you're on, if you wanted to, maybe say a few words about that to him, or you could even mention it live, let me know. That'd be great. But this is actually a little bit of the content that we shot with David actually at his one-on-one. This is a commercial lifestyle campaign that we developed. He wanted to do something with a whole camping California lifestyle vibe, incorporating Yeti, incorporating Coleman stoves, and creating something like this. I produced and created this whole full-scale production. We pulled full film permits. We cast some of the best lifestyle models, and we created this amazing story and shot all day with just him, which was really, really incredible. And David's attended, like, I don't know, 8 workshops with us as well in person, but he's also done the one-on-one with me, and that was an absolute blast. This is another scene that we shot with. We brought this VW bus. We had the product there. We have this whole skateboarding thing. We've got the roller skate girl that he connects with, telling these stories that were totally over the top. So whether you want to do a fashion story, a lifestyle story, whether you want to do something with landscape photography, nature photography, travel, resort, anything like that, I can create literally anything that you could possibly imagine. I know I was even speaking with Evan Siegel, who just attended the French Dream Castle experience, and he wants to set up something where we're doing like a lingerie story that he wants to do as a one-on-one in addition to what we're doing in Miami Beach, where I'll stay down there in Miami and do a one-on-one with him as well. And that would be incredible. So excellent. Yeah, and guys, I know that, Eric Graham mentions, hey, I'd shoot, but currently my means are limited. Okay, that's very, very important to know, because, hey, I want to mention something here. If you're starting a fashion brand, for instance, and do you think that if you never go to Fashion Week and you never spend money on any marketing or advertising or even production of your clothes or a storefront or a warehouse or anything, basically not spending money on your brand, do you think it'll be successful? Absolutely not. It'll fail miserably. Your brand will never get off the ground. If you open a restaurant and you don't spend on the restaurant lease and hundreds of thousands of dollars in equipment for the restaurant and and all the employees and all the branding and all the marketing, if you're not spending at least $1 million to get a restaurant going, it's very unlikely that it's ever going to succeed. Okay, it's probably not going to happen in this day and age. And even if you do spend that, it still very likely will not succeed because the success rate's very low on starting a business. So what I'm asking you guys, all of you out here, do you think that you could actually be successful as a photographer without investing in it? It's a business. And if you're not going to invest in your business, you literally won't be successful. Simple as that. Simple as that. I've done this a long time. I actually did my bachelor's in photography. I pursued my master's of fine arts in photography. I invested a couple $100,000 in my education. I've done ongoing seminars, workshops. I've done ongoing training of myself. I've also spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on my own personal brand, as well as marketing my personal brand, as well. Everything involved with it. I mean, it's definitely in the 7 figures of what I've spent. It's worth it, though. I feel like every single dollar and euro that I've spent on my brands over the years has paid off big time. It's paid off exponentially. It's given me an opportunity to be extremely successful. I came from nothing, you guys. I came from literally nothing. I came from a rural West Michigan with no money, without my parents helping me out, at all. And I basically came from nothing. And you know what? I went from there to being able to buy a castle in France and spend literally millions of dollars renovating it with 24 karat gold wall sconces and gold chandeliers and $30,000 gold leaf beds and having massive scale production because I invested in myself, and I know that I'm the best investment that I could ever spend my money on. And I encourage you guys to as well. And you can do it. You can try and produce these on your own, but if you're going to produce shoots like this, just like if you're a fashion brand trying to go to Fashion Week and try to produce a fashion show like Versace does, they spend a lot of money on producing their shoots. They spend a lot of money. If you're able to produce you're producing the runway shows, if you're going to produce a shoot on your own at equivalent of what we're looking at right now, it's equivalent of $100,000 a day. And I would actually say that it's probably a little bit more than that now because of inflation. Okay, so maybe 110, 120,000 now, okay, per day. So conservatively, $500,000 to $600,000 over the course of 5 days of production. And I don't know, man. I mean, I think like if you want to be successful in this, Eric, I don't know. You know, you mentioned that you don't currently have the means. Well, I don't know how you're going to do it, because if you're not going to spend $500,000 or $600,000 on developing your body of work, I don't know how you're going to do it, unless you're going to get involved in one of these epic productions, because it's literally, I don't really see another pathway. It's just not there, not these days, you know, unless you want to grind it out from the beginning as an assistant and work with the best photographers, grind it out for 10 years as an assistant, hustle your way, market yourself, grind through, make almost nothing for a decade, and just hope that you'll meet the right connections so that you can be successful, and then hope that they're going to like your brand. The success rate's not that high. And that's one of the reasons that the photography workshop series literally catapults people to the top like that. It gives you the ability to have a brand that's on an entire new level. And I encourage you guys to get involved, because it literally will transform your life. And it's something that, you know, I can actually, you know, have testaments, live testaments from these photographers that are joining, that are on right now. So I love it. I think that, you know, another thing, Brian asks again, if we are getting fashion jobs, should we be using images from the jobs to keep our portfolio fresh? I would say, Brian, if the fashion jobs are substantial, you know, if they're major campaigns and high budget productions, yes. If they're not, I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't showcase that. You know, I'm very selective of what I showcase, and I only show the best of the best content that I do, because I want to make sure that my brand is high end and refined. Okay. Crystal Bear mentions a question. I just had a potential client and by the way, good to see you, Crystal. You've attended several of our epic workshops all over the United States, which has been incredible, just like the Las Vegas workshop we were just talking about. And you've been in Miami, you've been in Los Angeles and Newport Beach. You've been at all these incredible workshops with us. She says, I just had a potential client tell me that she doesn't know if she needs me because her business is all about AI. I understand this is crazy, but I'd love to hear how you'd handle that. Miss working with you. Can't wait to see you at the next year's workshops. Well, thanks, Crystal. All right. Well, so fantastic. I would say, Crystal, in this case, if she feels like you're not relevant as a photographer because she wants to use AI, then okay, you know, I mean, I don't know how you're going to change her mind on that, because it sounds like she's kind of already made up. But Crystal, why aren't you pitching video? I don't think she's going to be able to do AI of high-end video, especially not unless she has an animator like at the level of Avatar doing high-end animation. AI doesn't do that right now. It doesn't do world-class high-end video that looks real and believable. It can manipulate and do photography by manipulating and stealing from other people's photographs, and then essentially manipulating and creating an artificially intelligent photograph. That's true. And a lot of modeling agencies are getting freaked out because they're basically creating new faces, new people that don't exist, that they don't have to pay licensing or usage on because those people aren't real. So that is happening. That is true. But in video, I haven't seen it yet. It's not really there yet. It's not good enough yet. And I don't think it's going to be for a little while. So I would say pitch her shooting a commercial, Crystal. In fact, you're such an incredible photographer, Crystal. I mean, you're an amazing photographer, but I think you're an even better filmmaker. And I've had a chance, because at every one of our epic photographic workshops, I've had the chance to work with Crystal and to create unbelievable video content at the highest level that you were able to shoot, Crystal. And you have that content in your book, or in your video reel, I should say. And because you've got that content in your video reel, you should be using that, and you should pitch her on that. You should pitch her on how she should be booking you on shooting commercials that she can't really do with AI, you know? And if she can, I'd be very curious to learn how. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, is there something that I'm not aware of yet? Because I've never seen any good AI commercials yet. No. You know, and commercials, by the way, are higher budgets. Generally, commercials, you know, you're looking at, you know, on the very, very low end, you're looking at, you know, around six figures, like $100,000. And on the higher end, you're looking in the $2 or $3 million. Okay. And the usage on that is very grandiose because you're tying it, and it's the same for fashion brands. Even fashion brands at Fashion Week, they're shooting commercials as well. Those are much higher budgets than the fashion photography. And it's often based upon the usage. And basically, I know I'm talking about some big numbers here, but this is legitimate, guys, especially now with the way that inflation has gone, the cost of production, it's skyrocketed. And unless you want to be left in the dust, you've got to create this content. You just have to. And if you don't, you're going to be left in the dust as well. So, Crystal was smart enough to get involved and take these epic photographic workshops that completely transformed her and gave her a body of work that's out of this world. And her content is so beautiful that she's able to have content that she could go back to that client, wow and dazzle them, get them to book her, and create, commercials for them, shoot campaigns that are absolutely incredible. And in fact, here I'm actually, I'm speaking about Crystal. So instead of just speaking about her, let's actually show you guys what Crystal shot. This was done by Crystal. Okay, so she shot this epic content at the workshop. Unbelievable content. Unbelievable content. Incredible. So, this kind of content is absolutely breathtaking. And this is the kind of stuff that, I highly, highly recommend that you guys create, because that's on a whole nother level. And if Crystal shares this with, with her audience, she's going to be, I think she's going to be booking a lot more opportunities. Definitely. Without question. She's going to be booking so many more opportunities, and it's going to take her to a whole different level. And this is something that AI is not going to do. I'm sorry. It's just not. So if if you're worried about that, then, get ahead of the curve and get more involved with video, and you're going to be in a better situation by far. All right. But these are absolutely incredible questions. I'm loving all these questions, these Q&A. I also strongly encourage you guys to answer in the survey. I am asking about budget. We're talking about these epic productions, just like Crystal shot here at this epic workshop. We shot out in the desert with scaffolding. We had the Vogue supermodels that we'd flown in. We had a couple of girls that have been in Vogue that were here. We shot out in a dry lake bed. We shot all these incredible stories. Very high production, very high cost. The cost of a $500,000 production level, and it's a tiny pittance compared to what the actual production cost is to get involved in the workshop. So it's a massive, massive advantage to get involved in that. Anyway, I do have a couple of these wonderful photographers on that I did want to introduce to you guys. I have a photographer named Morris Griffin, as well as Renee Labie. And Morris, I would love for you to jump on, because you just joined me in New York at this unbelievable experience. And I'm really, really proud of what you created, because you're a brilliant photographer. I also want to do a shout out to, because some of the images I'm going to show and talk about with Morris, I want to give a shout out to the great Jorg Window, who is on right now as well. And he's the owner of the incredible studios that we're at. They're absolutely amazing studios, and all the fashion photography that I'm going to showcase to you guys in the studios were actually the studios of Jorg, which is incredible. So, if you guys are interested in booking a great studio in New York, I can send you guys the information of the studio that he owns, that is absolutely incredible. And I think that I want to make sure that if you guys are shooting in New York, definitely go and use Studio 1418. It's 307 West 38th Street in Manhattan in Midtown. Unbelievable studio, beautiful. We actually had 2 full productions going on simultaneously there, and it went really, 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 really exceptionally well. So anyway, Morris, are you on?
Yes, Kevin, I'm here.
There he is. Good to see you,
Kevin. How are you, sir?
Oh my God, I'm wonderful. I'm even better now that you're on. It's such a pleasure to meet you, to see you again, Morris. And I had such an incredible time with you in New York, shooting both in studio and on location, creating unbelievable content. And also, so Morris, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience shooting with these top models, creating this content, creating a story at the scale of what we're doing in New York at the Photography Workshop Series. Tell us about it.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be a panelist today. I am a little bit nervous because I've never had this kind of an opportunity, but the workshop was amazing. I met some incredible photographers there. I didn't initially think it was something that was within our budget. I'm just now retired from working a full-time job, and I'm trying to get my studio up off the ground. But the amount of content that I was able to photograph in the 5-day workshop is definitely going to skyrocket my photography to a whole new level. I'm basically a portrait boudoir photographer in Cypress, Texas. That's a suburb of Houston. Like I said, I'm just starting out. I'm not really able to make a lot of money at this point because I'm still building my brand. But with the content that I shot at your workshop, I am hoping and I believe that by the time the first of the year rolls around, when I can get all of this retouched and up on my website, I'm believing that it's going to propel my photography business to a whole new level. Like I said, it was great to meet all of the different photographers that were there, to see some of their work. Hey, Mike, if you're still on here, it was great to meet you. You're a phenomenal photographer, and I enjoyed seeing your lookbook. And I hope to follow in your footsteps and take more of these workshops. I saw the comment from Eric about not knowing if he was capable of investing in this type of a workshop. And to be honest, I had the same feeling. Like I said, I just retired and I'm trying to get this studio up off the ground. And to see the investment at that level was a little bit fearful, but the content, the networking, the experience, the hands-on by Kevin with everything that we did, the locations that we were able to shoot in. Keep in mind, the week we were in New York was the week that the subways were flooded. It was torrential downpours for pretty much every day except for maybe 2 of the days. And Kevin was able to negotiate great places for us to shoot, even with the rain and the weather. And we had amazing models. We had amazing catering, amazing fashion designers, hairdressers, makeup artists. I mean, this is something that if you're wondering if it's really for you, I had the same feeling. I cannot believe the amount of amazing images that I've taken while I was there, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000. Granted, I can't use all of those, but the fact that I have hundreds of beautiful images that I can use is going to propel my business into a whole nother level. And Kevin, thank you so much for your team. They were there at the beginning. They were there doing the workshop. You were very concerned about what we were getting, if we were getting what we thought we needed. And if not, let me show you how I would do it. Not that you were trying to take over and run our photography workshop, but you were really trying to be there for us, to lean on, to give us the information. And I just want to thank you for the experience, because it was beyond my wildest dreams. And I do plan on taking another workshop from you.
Fabulous. I can't wait to have you there. And Morris, one of the things too that I really thought was special is that you also, you brought your wife, who is
I
also
did.
your partner in a lot of this, who was wonderful. She was incredible. She was there all 5 days. And she also helped you. She assisted you. She actually held you. You had set up your camera to tether to your remotely to your iPad, and she would hold
Right.
the iPad, review the images as you're shooting them, and they were breathtaking. They were beautiful. I mean, you did an amazing
Thank
job.
you.
But also, it was really cool. I know many of you guys out there also have, a loved one that or a partner that helps you, and it was really cool because your wife was there to help you and have showcase some of the images and then kind of review them as you went, and that was really
Right.
really special. Yeah. So Morris, talk to me about, so you mentioned you live in Houston. Do you have models in production and Vogue fashion stylists down in Houston?
Well, I've not encountered it if they are here. You know, it was one of those questions that I asked you on day 5 when we were doing the wrap up of the day. If you'd ever thought about bringing it to Houston, you know, as you know, Linsworth Johnson is also a Houston photographer that was there that I followed, and we got to meet each other. And he and I were discussing it when I got back, along with Patrick, who lives in Dallas. And we just couldn't fathom the kind of experience that you gave us in New York, in Houston at this juncture. We don't know those types of agencies where we can get those types of models. Um, the models were, for lack of a better word, off the chain, day in and day out. You know, I was going through my images with Priscilla, your assistant, just day before yesterday. And, you know, you were telling us to limit it to 40 images. Well, I went through my first day and I got it down to 155. So now I've got to try to get the 155 down to the 40 per day. So that's just to let you guys know the kind of content that we were shooting. And Kevin walks us through everything, the lighting. He helps us when we get stuck shooting outside, especially when we got into the late evening hours. Presented some challenges for me because I mostly shoot in the studio. I don't do a lot of evening or afternoon shoots. But Kevin came over, saw what was going on, and said, my suggestion to you would be, and when I made those adjustments, I got better looking images, obviously. So I appreciate the help. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the tutelage that I'm getting from your crew. And I absolutely believe that it did step up my photography level to a whole nother level. My thinking is different. You know, I kind of had the thinking of a poor man's photography studio, and now I'm not looking at my studio that way. I'm looking at getting my branding down, making sure that I'm getting people to come in, and I'm going to charge them accordingly because I believe my work from the workshop has dictated to me that I'm worth more than what I've been charging in past photo shoots.
Well, that's what I like to hear, because you're right. You are worth more, Morris. And I got to work personally with you. And I can personally tell you that you are an incredibly strong photographer. I mean, it was also your
Thank
hit
you.
rate, meaning like every image you were shooting was like, you know, well exposed, beautifully lit, gorgeous images. And you're right. In studio, it was easy, right? Everything's set up,
Right.
everything's dialed in. On location was a little bit harder, but I think that that's, to me, when the magic happens, is when you go on location and you create that mind-blowing on location photography. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because when we went on location, you know, we shot at 2 unbelievable locations. One
We
was
did.
this filming location for the Royal Tenenbaums, and it was over the water in New York with all these incredible sailboats. Another one was a location where it was this, you know, unbelievable stone equestrian estate up in Bedford Hills. And we shot with horses, we shot with owls, and it was totally over the top. So talk to us a little bit about that experience.
Well, first of all, I was telling Priscilla just the other day that we took a couple of images from the back of my camera and sent them to our daughters who were back in Oklahoma in order for them to kind of see what we were shooting, and they were just blown away. I, for one, and my wife had never shot at a location quite either location that was quite that spectacular. One of the comments that I made, and I think you reiterated it once you came out to at the equestrian location, was this was something that you would probably see in Ralph Lauren or, you know, some huge designer guest or something like that. The backdrop was just amazing. I mean, there were 50 horses there. They had riding classes that were going on. The owner actually brought one of the horses out for us, a beautiful horse that matched up incredible with the dress that the model was wearing. I mean, you just can't put or throw together something like that. It takes planning and strategic planning at that. And it takes well coordinated teamwork. I mean, your team set up lights, cameras, reflectors to help us get what light we could get without having to use off-camera lighting, so that we could get more realistic images. It was just quite a production. Like I said, by the time we got to day 5, honestly, I was almost in overload, because there were so many great things that were coming at us that we were able to watch and learn from you and from other former participants. Mike was a big help to me, one of your former participants, and the lady, I believe her name was Renee, that came in, and Christine. There were 3 or 4 other photographers that came in, and when we got stuck with especially the location shoots, they were helping us, looking at the back of our cameras and saying, my suggestion to you, it wasn't like they were trying to take over your role, but they were just assisting us the same as you had assisted them through many of the workshops that they had been through. So it was a great team effort. I felt like this experience was definitely one that I would have felt remiss had I not taken on the whole 5 days. I know there were some people that took on 3 days, but to get to the 5th day, this is a part of the 5th day here that we're seeing on the screen, was just amazing. To have the 2 owls that we were able to shoot with, plus the horse, was just, outstanding. It's just amazing. And all of this was during the time, like I said, when we were having incredibly difficult weather in New York and surrounding areas, and you still were able to get us images that look like this. Like I said, I'm forever in your indebtedness. It was great.
I love to hear that. Yeah, I mean, unbelievable stories here and beautiful footage shot by the attendees. You got to operate gimbal as well,
We
and
did.
create this beautiful content with owls, with horses. We did this whole kind of black swan kind of look right here to match the owl. We did some really interesting stuff at this location, and I felt like the location also worked really well with a kind of muted cloudy tone that we had, and it was really dark and really dramatic and beautiful. I loved it. I felt like it was really, really special, but very different tonality and feeling as well in content than what you've ever created before. And I mean, I think you're going to get hooked on this On Location stuff, aren't you, Morris?
I'm already hooked. Like I said,
Excellent.
I'm really trying to figure out which one of your next workshops I'm going to take. Actually, my wife and I, we wanted to do Paris, was looking forward to doing Paris, but based on my style of work and the kind of work I would like to do going forward, I think we're going to try to go to the Miami workshop. I think the lifestyle is definitely something that I want to pursue. It's definitely something I want to attend your workshop, and try to get more education. I've attended a lot of photography workshops over the year because I worked a full-time job. So I would go, spend a week of vacation and take these workshops, but I've never attended one quite like yours. I've attended several of these in Chicago and other places, but nothing like this. This was really quite over the top, quite over the top.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I love that. Yeah, this is the Miami Beach experience that Morris is talking about. And this one sells out every year. We generally, this is one of our most popular workshops. I know many of you that are on right now have attended this. I know Crystal has, I know David has, I know a lot of you guys have attended this one in person. It's an incredible experience. And this one's amazing because it's both lifestyle resort advertising for 3 of the days, and then also high-end swim for 2 of the days, shooting with models that have been in Sports Illustrated, guest campaigns, like these girls right here, for instance. We had one of the girls who was Miss Universe. We had a girl who was on the cover of Playboy, the girl on the left there, this girl who was a guest model. We had a girl from who was a Victoria's Secret angel. I mean, it was totally over the top. and it was shot on location at a mansion in Key Largo. So every workshop is very different, very custom. And as you can see, this is a very, very, very night and day different workshop than what you just did in New York. And that's why, again, that's why we call it photography workshop series, is it's because it's a series of these epic productions all over the world, whether it's in my castle in France or Miami or New York, LA, Newport Beach, Las Vegas. They're all different, and they all have a different feel and look. But the reason we do this, Morris, is for photographers like you to develop a national brand.
Right.
Because you don't want to just be a Houston guy. You want to be a
No.
national brand. And because the thing is there are big clients that are in Houston and in Dallas. But I'll tell you what, they book photographers from LA and New York and fly them in because they've done it to me. I've flown in, shot in Dallas for a Pepsi campaign because they wanted that LA guy, right? But it should be you. You should be branding yourself as that LA, New York photographer that just happens to shoot as a local in Houston.
I totally agree.
Absolutely. So anyway, and then also, of course, this high-end commercial lifestyle, which is the most marketable of all, and this is the most lucrative. This is going to be for the first 3 days, which is fabulous. So absolutely awesome, and I'm really happy to hear that, Morris, and I can't wait to see you at these upcoming experiences. And I think that the castle's an excellent fit, but I think Miami Beach is perfect for you in every possible way because you shoot boudoir, you shoot lingerie, you're into that vibe. But I also see you shooting high-end commercial advertising, where the real money's at, which is this kind of content.
I totally agree, Kevin.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Anyway, I mean, Morris, was there a certain scene that you fell in love with in New York that really stood out to you the most?
There were several. I would have to say the two outdoor sets that we did with the boats. The sailboats, I mean, there were probably 50 sailboats maybe out there in the water. Even though we had the rain come in and out and we shielded the models, with some of the reflectors, we still got these gorgeous images of the models in these gorgeous dresses, and the makeup was outstanding. And then when I look back at, the last day, with the horses and the owls, I mean, you just can't get that kind of quality if you don't know somebody that knows somebody. And I've not seen anyone, and I run with quite a few photographers here in Houston. I mean, there's roughly 10,000 of us, I think, running around the city. And I've not seen anybody with this quality of work in their Instagrams or in their websites or any of that stuff. And so I felt like me attending your workshop gave me a little bit of an edge because I am older. And so I need to hurry up and get my in now. And I think that because of this location, I think I'm able to do that. I really feel strongly that by the first of the year, when I start posting this kind of information on my website, I'm going to draw in those higher end clients because they see what I'm capable of doing. And that's all thanks to you. Like I said, I'm not a bad photographer. I'm a pretty decent photographer, but I felt like your workshop kicked my work up a whole nother level.
You know what it is, Morris? It's about what access to production you have, and I think that that's the biggest differentiator. It's not about being necessarily a great photographer or not a great photographer. It's what you have access to. And when you have access to models that have been in vogue, it makes a big difference. Wouldn't you agree?
Totally. It totally made it.
It's
I mean,
night and day.
I've shot great looking models here that are moms and what have you around the city. I've never shot a world-class Vogue model, and we had several of them at the workshop, and we had them for multiple days. You think that you see one great model in these magazines, and you never, or at least I never thought I would be able to shoot that quality of a model, and we did. This is one of the studio sets that I thought was just impeccable. I love that red dress on Isabella. It was just amazing. These ladies they worked their tails off for us.
Yeah, the casting was incredible. The faces, the makeup, the hair, the wardrobe, the production, everything was totally over the top, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. And it was interesting too, because while the flooding is happening in New York and whole areas of Manhattan and Brooklyn are completely underwater, we're up here, on the 14th floor photographing these supermodels, creating this unbelievable content in the rainiest, crazy.
Exactly.
It was amazing.
Exactly. Crazy, crazy.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Well, awesome. Morris, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I really appreciate it. And I also look forward to seeing you not only at the workshop, but also Photographers University, which is the next thing we're going to be talking about. And I think you're going to be the perfect candidate to get involved because it's something that is right down your alley.
I hear you, and I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, you mentioned something in the beginning. I'll say this, and then I'll get off here. You said that we're with you in the beginning, during the workshop, and at the end, and I totally agree with that statement. That's exactly what I'm finding out, and I too was one of those people who felt like it was way more money than I could afford, but the content that I got definitely is going to propel me to be able to make that money back and then some. So I feel strongly that your workshop, there's nothing else like that out there. And like I said, I've attended, several workshops with some pretty high name photographers, and I just felt like I got more from this than I've ever gotten. And you
Absolutely.
also allowed me to bring my wife because that's my partner, and so it was a great deal. It was a great experience for the both of us.
No, I loved having her there, and if you guys are partners, I mean, I think that that's important. You guys are together. So it's something where the two of you guys need to, if she's going to be a part of that team, she should be there and she should be a part of the team on set, creating this kind of content and also learning all the aspects that we did about, the business side of it and taking it to the next level. I think that was fabulous.
She took some great notes from our meetings that we had when we first started, and beyond. So thank you very much for the experience. It was
Absolutely.
awesome.
Well, awesome, Morris. You were wonderful to have, and we also had a great group of photographers, didn't we? Everybody was so awesome to work with. The group was incredible. Everybody was so kind, so generous, so happy to be there, so friendly, so easy to work with. It was like it made it a dream, in my opinion.
It did. The thing about it is that since we've gotten back, like I said, myself and Linsworth and Patrick have gotten in touch with each other. I haven't gotten in touch with Almi just yet, but I did talk to Teresa when we got back via text. So, we're staying in touch. We had a lot of fun. We got to experience each other's work for 5 days. I think we built um, a family, if you will, that'll continue on years after this workshop.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I totally agree. And that's a big part of it is that network and connections going forward. And also the Vogue stylists. We work with two different Vogue stylists who are absolutely out of this world. We work with the best makeup and hairstylists in New York. I mean, the best. They were incredible. And it really
Exactly.
elevated the content because all the stuff you guys are looking at is raw content. You're looking at raw video, you're looking at raw photography. These are not retouched images or edited videos. These are just straight out of camera, but everything is so flawless that because of the hair, the makeup, the wardrobe, the models, it's just like you hardly even have to do much.
Exactly. It was incredible. Like I said, I was expecting a lot, and I got way more than I expected.
Fabulous. Well, I love it. I love to hear that. Thank you so much, Morris, and I can't wait to see you. So thank you for joining us. And I really appreciate those kind words. I'd like to actually invite one of your colleagues to come up, and that's the great Renee Laabi. She's attended multiple workshops with us now.
Hey,
There's the
girl.
great Renee. In fact, she was just you were in Virginia with us this year, weren't you?
I was. I want to move to Virginia.
I love it. I love it. So good to see you, Renee. And you got to work with Morris as well, but you were there at the New York Fashion Experience. It was really, really wonderful to have you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, some of your favorite experiences at the New York Fashion Workshop?
Wow, the list is long. Basically, I was a pretty successful photographer back in the 80s. And did that for a while. I've been published, been on MTV News and all that, rock and roll. And then I decided to get a real job working in chemistry and now biopharma, but I've always done photography. Now I learned myself years ago, and now I'm getting, ready to retire early and like do what I really wanted to do in the first place. But I have no time to experiment or learn myself. And if I did a big production, I don't even know what to rent. So what I took from all the workshops so far is location production and location lighting and troubleshooting. Because in the real world, it never goes smooth. So especially in this New York one, when the owl escaped and we had to like quickly pivot, find a new location and reset up. And you were talking through all that, and it's like, well, before we all started and I walked around and, we already have this over there. So it was all the pre-preparation that nobody talks about. Is one of the key skills to learn, like arrive early, scope up the place, talk to everybody beforehand, be prepared for when things go wrong. So the escape of the owl was serendipity. So we all got to experience how to troubleshoot on the fly. And like, rather than like break down into tears or like, oh my God, we're screwed, be like, oh, we can just go over there.
Yeah, what she's referring to is this beautiful top model is holding the owl, and we brought in a horse, and the horse scared the owl because we have so much production. We had like 2 or 3 sets going on simultaneously. Yeah. The owl flew away. The owl flew onto the roof of this barn, like 3 or 4 stories up, and was up there like loose. This beautiful, expensive, fancy owl. So, but we pivoted and we continued to shoot. We just pivoted what we were shooting while the owl trainer went to get the owl. And that was a whole complicated thing, but we ended up creating great content. So I think that was awesome. So yeah, Renee noticed that. It's great. It's great to hear about it.
That's so key, to be able to keep control of your set when there's chaos around you, because that's reality. And those lessons of how to handle, let's say if a model gets cranky or doesn't feel well in the middle of a shoot, what do you do? Loads of things like that. What happens if it rains in the middle of the day and no one expects it? How do you flip over this thing so it's like now a rain canvas? So that to me was stuff that I wouldn't experience anywhere else. Those skills are key.
This is the owl.
Yeah, beautiful. So the models were incredible. The whole thing, everything that Maura said, ditto.
I love it. And I love that, Renee. And you have a very different style of photography too. You're a bit more reportage, a little bit more photojournalistic. And you created a lot of little moments where you were telling the story like up until the shoot, which was really cool and special. And I love to see that. And you're, kind of viewing it more as like a photojournalist documentarian. And coming from that perspective. So I found that really interesting. You have very, very different look and feel than what Morris was shooting. So I like the variance, the variety, and I thought, you created some fabulous imagery.
I do a lot of wedding photography, and I just kind of want to, like everyone else wants to do fashion, I want to do fashionable weddings, like the higher end markets. And ultimately, my secret goal is to work for a wedding dress designer to do all their photography for their advertising.
Excellent. Well, that's a no-brainer. In fact, Renee, if that's what you want to do, we got to get you to the French Castle.
I know, right?
Because that's literally what we were doing there. We were shot with the best of the best wedding designers with supermodels from Milan and created some unbelievable content. But that's fabulous, though, Renee. I'd love to hear that.
And the other thing was just collaborating with all the other photographers, because everybody was at a different level and everybody was helpful, and everyone felt it was like a safe space. You could somebody say, I don't know how to do this with my camera. I just bought it. I'm fine with this one. And if, you know, whatever one that you have, can you show me? So it was very chilled, relaxed. If you don't know how to do something, you didn't feel weird. Oh, there I am. um, and it was great.
Yeah, and we had a few photographers that ran into some technical problems with their cameras and camera settings and things like that. But I figured it out for them. I solved the problems, and instead of them being frustrated and be like, oh, I can't shoot this, we got past it and we fixed the camera settings. We moved on. We created amazing content. And that's the beautiful thing about being at a workshop, is that you're not on this like high pressure situation where if something doesn't work, you're dead. It's like you're on a safe space where if something doesn't work, we make it happen and we shift it. And then, oh my gosh, we grow from it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Like I really got from that was watching you direct the set, adjust as the clouds were moving, the rain was moving off and on. And that to me will last me, because I shoot outside a lot for weddings, and I'll shoot in hurricanes. I don't care. So I have a lot of notes from all the outside, how to prep, how to prepare, and how to deal with the unexpected, because it happens. But
it does. It happens.
I was looking at my content and I was like, oh my gosh, I have enough to do like little storyboards. And it also made me realize I really have to get serious about learning video.
Yeah.
Because if I did the video with a couple of stills in between, like a storyboard and then more video, that would have worked. I love that horse.
Absolutely. Yeah, beautiful shot here. Renee, that is a really pivotal thing. And I think that I think the group that we had in New York of you guys were pretty much solely photographers. There wasn't a lot of video people, but learning video and shooting this video content is gold, because this is the stuff that's going to really help take you to the next level, and give you that ability to land those opportunities. And especially with an emerging market of AI that's shifting everything in photography, video is going to be more and more valuable and set you apart, because that's not something that can be literally replaced. It's something that actually is going to be more sought after.
Yeah, that became very, very apparent over those days. And then especially like as I look at other stuff that we did, and even the ads that you have on the website, been like, damn, I should have shot more video. So that's my goal over the next few months, is to get a handle on video, learn how to edit it, and go to the gym so I can hold the gimbal.
But you know what, Renee, what Renee's referring to right now is the gimbal, which is like a stabilizer for the camera. And it's very heavy. It's a difficult thing to hold. But the thing is you can always have a camera operator hold that gimbal and you can direct it. So, and that's okay to do. You can always do it that way. You don't always have to be the strong grunt holding the gimbal. You can also be somebody that has a camera person that holds that gimbal too. So when I'm shooting a campaign, I'm directing it, but I generally have camera operators on set as well as first ACs, second ACs. And it's, I'm not necessarily always holding camera. I'm just directing the sequences and directing all the cinematography. I love this. Is a really cool scene too.
But watching you do the video as we were doing each set, it just stuck in my head. I have to do this. I have to like just get over that fear of like, I've never done this before, and this is a whole new skill I have to learn, and just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. Yeah. And I wanted to also share, like, this video clip has some beautiful video that we shot in Miami, which I know Morris is going to be coming to this one. And also Renee, I think this would be, rock your world, because it's all lifestyle, but we do a tremendous amount of video at this one. And you can see it's just like, you know, on location, beautiful, happy, healthy people having fun, enjoying life, smiles, and then creating these extremely dynamic video sequences that are highly commercially marketable.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely stunning. So having this content really will set you apart and take
Yeah,
you to the
I
next
have to
level.
agree. Because if I can like
Absolutely.
do some Facebook ads or Instagram ads or TikTok, whatever, just talking with friends and brides, they're really in what catches them from scrolling is a really cute 4 or 5 second clip. They'll stop and they'll watch the whole thing because it's so eye-catching, and it's like I have to catch eyes. So um
It's
yeah,
true. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is. It is.
yeah.
Well, excellent. Well, I'm so happy to hear, and I had such a blast having you there in person. It was really, really, really special to have you there. And I can't wait, you know, to see what you do with all of this. And I look forward to seeing you at all the upcoming
Me too.
experiences. It's going to
Me
be
too.
absolutely incredible. And
Yeah.
I know this is kind of one of the pretty extensive webinars, but I'm also going to send you you guys a link that I do want you guys to check out, because we're going to be talking about Photographers University, which is kind of the next step of what we're
Uh-huh.
doing photography workshop series. And I think it actually both Morris and Renee are going to be very, very excited about this, as well as
Yeah.
those of you that are on right now. And by the way, Linda Jett writes in a comment, who, by the way, Linda was actually at this workshop in Miami, and she did an incredible job. And I think I even have some content of her filming in this. I think she's right here. There she's in the white shirt photographing. And yeah, and this is something, you know, Linda, you created some beautiful content, you know, and we'll definitely work with you more. So she's asking about video, you know, wants to know a little bit about, you know, for those of us who haven't done a whole lot of video, this, where do we begin? The best thing, Linda,
Yeah.
is do this as much as you can with the workshop so you can master the equipment. You understand the storytelling, because it is different than photography. Instead of just capturing an, you know, a person in an image, you're
Yeah.
having a story happening there in front of you, and then you're creating a video sequence around the models or actors, which is very different. Meaning you can go out of frame, into frame, out of frame with the camera, and then you piece it together and edit together. And we also, Linda, we like to shoot the video sequences from different angles so that you
Mm.
can piece them together in post-production. I know, Renee, you got a chance to do some of that. And did you enjoy that, doing the
I
videos?
did, because my idea is to actually do that, do some video, put the photography in there as its own product, but have them both together to tell the story. So
Absolutely.
that's going to be like a learning slope.
Absolutely. That's okay. It's good to have a learning slope. That's what this
Yeah.
is all about.
Yeah.
Is taking it to that next level. And that's something that, you know, we're here for, and to do this in a very, very safe space.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's incredible. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Renee. I really enjoyed having you on, and it
My
was such a
pleasure.
blast having you in New York. You were incredible. You created some mind-blowing content, and I can't wait to see you at the next one.
Me too. Cool.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. All right, guys. I did want to talk with you guys just briefly about what the next thing that we have going on, which is Photographers University. And I've never really discussed this yet on one of our webinars before. But since I have a big audience of you guys on right now, I did want to discuss it. And I wanted to showcase what this is. I sent a link out, but essentially what Photographers University is, it's a 30-day accelerator. And this is something that we've had a lot of photographers want this. We've offered some coaching sessions where we've given individual coaching session. We offer it for free. That's fantastic. However, we also, I feel like we need to step it up even more. So we're offering Photographers University, which is essentially a 30-day intensive, and it's we're enrolling people right now for pre-sale. The event actually starts in January. We're going to kick off the new year with the Photographers University first 30-day accelerator. But essentially what it is we're going to have a super intensive where you and I are going to work together, and you're going to have weekly sessions with me, and I'm going to jump on weekly to coach you guys, guide you guys, and mentor you guys weekly for 30 days to make sure that we get you to the highest level. So that encompasses myself doing some direct intensives. So this is kind of like what you guys have done with some of the epic virtual workshops in the past, but on another level and a lot more content and a lot more intensive. It's going to involve myself on weekly sessions. Then it's going to include my incredible professional photographic consultants doing dedicated mentoring and coaching sessions also on a weekly basis to guide you and make sure you're implementing your 3 foundations of your photography. Now, we have different plans, but the first that we're starting with is essentially what we call the foundations of photography. Now, I talked about that at the beginning here, and what that means is the 3 foundations of success in photography. One is developing that photographic brand. So week 1 is going to be all about mastering your photographic brand and what that looks like, how it's seen, how it's refined, what the visual aspects of the brand are. It includes your photographic portfolio, your website, your Instagram, your LinkedIn page, all your identifying factors, your font, your topography, your promotional pieces, everything that's set up. We're going to refine and define your brand, and we're going to do it live during this 30-day accelerator. And if you want to be a participant live with actually having me personally go through and develop your brand with you, I can do that. And then we're going to have breakout sessions with our photographic consultants to guide you and refine that brand. It's going to be super intensive, incredibly over the top with what we're going to offer. And the amount of value is absolutely over the top. So we have really intensive experiences, and depending on which sessions you take, whether you get involved in the foundations photography, we have signature style, as well as the 3rd level, which is our industry icons. The packages range between 20 hours and 40 hours of content that you're going to have access to. Basically packaging together our premier best of the best of the best photographic workshops on photographic branding, photographic portfolio development, developing your marketing strategy, advanced marketing using AI, also incorporating retouching, including in some of the more advanced packages, as well as storytelling, art direction, and posing. It is a very, very intensive experience. Depends on the package you guys choose. And then also our individualized coaching, as well as sessions with myself. Now, this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, because I got into the photography education space because I did my whole education, become a professor of photography, and I wanted to guide photographers, mentor photographers, and essentially catapult them to the next level. And this is an opportunity to do that at a much larger scale, not just at our in-person, high-intensive photographic workshops, but at a much more cost-effective way to get involved virtually and to do it from around the world. We have all kinds of incredible opportunities here, as well as guided mentorship, and this includes in our 30-day accelerator. If you click on the link, there's all kinds of fantastic information about this to give you all the details about what Photographers University is, what the 30-day accelerator is all about, and then also we are offering a pre-sale. Normally, the packages range from $29.97 upwards, but the foundations of photography, the one I just discussed, that one starts. We are offering $1,000 discount if you guys enroll in our pre-sale right now, and for this individual first group, and this is going to be for just $19.97, which is going to be absolutely an incredible deal. And the best part is that unlike, just like our virtual workshops, which are $12.95, you're essentially getting, for the foundations of photography, 3 of these virtual workshops, which are, essentially, you're looking at something that's effectively about $3,900 that you're getting for only $29.97, plus ongoing mentorship and guidance with myself, as well as a photographic coach that's going to be working with you weekly. So it's going to be a very intensive experience. And this is all about basically jump starting and catapulting your brand. And it's going to start in January is when the first whole session starting. We're enrolling people right now for that January session to kick your new year into gear for 2024. So I'm super excited about this. This has been under works for a long time, and I'm really, really proud to make all of this happen with you guys. And those of you guys who have attended our workshops before, you can also also are going to appreciate this. The entire enrollment in Photographers University can be 100% credit towards any 5-day workshop. So any upcoming workshop that you enroll in from now going forward, you actually will get that entire enrollment in Photographers University as a 100% credit towards any 5-day workshop. So that way it's a no-brainer. You end up getting it, basically for free because you're enrolling in 5-day workshops. Anyways, we have a 95% re-enrollment rate because our photographers, just like you got to meet Renee and you got to meet Morris, they absolutely love these experiences. So if you are interested, check out that link that I just sent you guys. And if you want to go ahead and get enroll and that discounted rate in our pre-sale, you can do it right now. And I'm putting it in the chat. This you can enroll right now with that link and get involved immediately. This is something that I guarantee you is going to completely transform where you're at in your photographic business. And it's the components that you need to take you to the next level of your photographic journey. And if those of you guys who have already, attended some of the virtual workshops, this is even better because this includes ongoing guidance and coaching with myself, as well as my mentors and coaches, in addition to more content that you haven't even seen yet. So it's going to be incredibly intensive and you guys are going to love it. So those of you guys who've attended our workshops that you want to jump in, those of you who have never done this and maybe the investment in a 5-day workshop is high for you, now is the time to get involved in something like this because it's a much, much lower investment, but yet the value is so over the top and completely ridiculous in the amount of value we add. We also include all kinds of downloadable assets, such as downloadable model release templates from, depending on the package that you choose. We have the proposal templates. We have we're basically all the pricing guides, pricing calculators. We have all kinds of incredible assets included in these packages, and it's really, really spectacular of the kind of assets that you're going to gain in addition to all of our coaching and mentorship, but they're going to be tied to what we're going to be going into each week. So week 1 is going to be mastering your photographic brand, and it'll include the 6-hour intensive on that branding and portfolio, but then also live mentorship and guidance from me as well as a coach. Then the next week, we're going to be going into how to incorporate that brand into your marketing and to take your marketing to the next level with another 6-hour intensive on marketing, as well as the direct connection with me, guiding you and refining your brand that we can actually, and marketing that brand live, and then coaching with your guide. Then on week 3, we're going to be going in depth on the closing the deal and booking more clients and how to do that with live coaching as well. And then on week 4, we're tying it all together for the final presentation to refine yourself and maximize you to the next level. And we have kind of a finale with that. And we're also going to be bringing on incredible coaches, panelists, and other world-class instructors, such as photographic agents, as well as art buyers from ad agencies and marketing experts. So it's going to be an incredible, intensive experience that all of you guys are going to want to attend, and this thing's going to blow up. So I'm really, really excited about each and every one of these experiences. And I definitely want you guys to get involved in Photographers University and be my very first class of photographers, and attending the first foundations of photography. And if you guys want to upgrade to the higher end packages, we'll discuss that later, because we offer all kinds of incredible experiences that go beyond that and onward. But we have a lot of really incredible stuff coming up for 2024, and we're going to be making it the best year yet with Photography Workshop Series, Photographers University, as well as the French Dream Castle. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I can't wait to see you on getting involved with all of the incredible stuff we have, both in person and online. And I can't wait to work with each and every one of you to maximize your photographic career. Take care.